Hello, good evening. Om Shanti. Welcome.
Good evening.
Shanti.
Good evening.
Shanti, good evening.
Shanti, good evening.
Shanti. Hope everyone is doing well. So today we have taken the subject rise above your problems. Rise above the problems. In Sunday's main Murli of the message, Abba mentioned about becoming Samadhan Swarup, solution focused. Many times in role consciousness, body consciousness, we stay problem focused. So the option we have is to rise above. And when we rise above, then we get a different perspective and we don't see the problem as we used to see it before. So today the thought was to try and look a little bit deeper into this. What is a problem and how does it arise, and what do we learn from it, and how do we rise above the problem? So if we were to define a problem, how would we define a problem? The Hindi word is samasya. What is a problem? How would we define a problem? Any thoughts? When things are not going in our way, the way we expected them to go, right? Yes. Yes. Any other thoughts? So there's one thought, it says, problem is a convoluted thinking. Means I have thought about something in a convoluted way. Convoluted means more complex. It's not out there. It's just a thought pattern based on the drama or false identity. Sometimes we think, oh, there is a problem out there that I need to solve. But actually, the problem is not something which is out there, but it's a kind of a convoluted thinking which is based on the drama, that is the story, or the false identity. Right? So it says it's not about finding a solution to every small problem. Rather, it's about rising above when the mind doesn't see any problem with anything. So it's trying to go to that space where I don't see any problem with anything. Like the perspective of God, for example, God doesn't see any problem. Right? God doesn't get upset when we, right, don't do things according to what He tells us to do. So it's like rising above problems is trying to get into that zone. So let's try to look into. So it says, solve the problem or leave the problem. Don't live with the problem. If there is a problem, let me either solve it, find a solution, or leave it. Means don't think about it.
Time will take its own.
Yeah, according to time, it will sort out by itself. Don't live with the problem. Because the more I live with the problem means I keep on thinking about the problem. So what happens is, then that's what Baba says, na baat chalti hai. So when baat is there, who is not there? Then Bap means then I cannot really remember the divine. Because then my mind will be focused on a on a problem. So I become too much problem focused. It says most of the problems in life are because of two reasons. First, we act without thinking. We act without thinking, or we keep thinking without acting. That's nice quote, right? It's either I act something, I act on something, but I haven't thought through it. It's just an emotion that came and I reacted. Or I keep on thinking, but I also don't do anything. So it's fine balance between, what I think and how I act. And so both these are, in a way, examples of body consciousness, role consciousness, where in the first place I'm not thinking at all, or I'm thinking too much. So that's when we are really truly aligned with the source and aligned with the truth, then a thought will come and we will act. Then another thought will come and we will act. There won't be any confusion. So the right thought will come at the right time. So we can then easily live in the moment. In the moment. Next says, problems are part of life, and facing them with smile is art of life. Problems are part of life. So we should not expect life to be without problems. And if we really see the growth, whatever we have had in our life, if there was no problem, there was no challenge, no struggle, there won't be any growth. But facing them with smile is art of life. So problems are actually designed by drama, by life itself, so that we can grow. You know that story, right? Like where there's a little boy and he's seeing that there is a cocoon, and in that cocoon, there is a butterfly that is trying to come out. It's trying to come out. And he's saying that the butterfly is struggling a lot in order to come out. And then what happens is he thinks, let me try to help. And so what he does is he takes scissor and cuts the cocoon so that the butterfly can then come out. But it comes out, but the wings don't have strength to fly. And after some time, the butterfly dies. So the butterfly had to push its way through so that the wings will become strong. So it was designed in the life itself, so that actually it becomes a butterfly. And so problems or challenges or struggles are actually important because that's what, make us who we are. The other example we give of diamond, right? Like how under immense temperature and pressure, that's how diamonds are formed. So whatever situations there may be, but those situations are exactly the way they should be in order for us to learn our lesson and move forward. The people we are with, whether be it at home, at work, in family, friends, the situations that we are facing are all exactly designed by life. I think this realization helps us to then accept everything and everyone the way they are.
नहीं कोई भी चैलेंज हमारी लाइफ में है तो हमारी
पोटेंशियल बढ़ती
तो
बढ़ाने के लिए
डिपेंड करता है
Correct.
नहीं वो है पावर लेकिन वो उस परिस्थिति में
बटरफ्लाई का था वो कोशिश कर रही थी निकलने का तो लेकिन किसी बच्चे ने सोचा कि मैं हेल्प कर दूं इसकी उसे रोक कैसे काट दी, बटरफ्लाई निकली, वीक थी, मर गई। क्यों? क्यों? जब वो स्ट्रगल कर रही थी तो उसके विंग पर ताकत आ रही थी, और जब ताकत आती तो वो लड़ सकती थी बाहर,
राइट
उस प्रकृति से अपने आप को बचा सकती,
राइट
लेकिन वो ताकत ही नहीं उसके अंदर। तो वो
राइट
तो मतलब
बाबा कहते हैं कि
स्ट्रगल तो जरूरी है, स्ट्रगल जरूरी है।
यस गुड
विदाउट स्ट्रगल फिर भी
या
कमजोर रह जाता है।
राइट
वही बटरफ्लाई का होता है, जो स्ट्रगल नहीं करने दिया तो
right right Acha, so we'll watch a little story and then we'll discuss more.
One day, a farmer's donkey fell into a deep well. The poor animal cried out in agony for hours, unable to climb out of the hole. The farmer, hearing the donkey's cries, walked over to the well to assess the situation. He looked down and saw the donkey, helpless and trapped at the bottom. For a long time, the farmer stood there considering what to do. The donkey was already old and not very useful to the farmer anymore. The well, too, needed to be covered up, as it was no longer in use. After a lot of thought, the farmer came to a heartbreaking decision. He believed that the donkey's life wasn't worth saving, especially considering the cost and effort it would take to rescue him. He thought to himself, "The donkey is old, and this well needs to be sealed up anyway. It's just not worth the trouble to try to save him." The farmer then invited his neighbors to come over and help him fill in the well. They all grabbed shovels and began shoveling dirt into the well, intending to bury the donkey alive. The sound of the shovels hitting the dirt was followed by the mournful cries of the donkey, which echoed in the air. As the dirt piled in, the Yasa donkey's cries grew more desperate. But then something amazing happened. After a few moments of frantic noise, the donkey suddenly quieted down. The farmer and his neighbors were confused, wondering why the donkey had stopped crying. After shoveling a few more loads of dirt, the farmer peered down into the well to see what was going on. He was astounded at what he saw. With each new load of dirt that hit the donkey's back, the donkey would shake it off and then take a step. Each time the dirt fell on him, he would shake off the dirt and stand on it, using the weight to step higher and higher. It was as if the donkey had figured out how to use the dirt as a way to escape his situation. As the neighbors continued to shovel dirt into the well, they noticed something incredible. The donkey, rather than being defeated by the weight of the dirt, kept stepping up, using the dirt as a staircase to climb out of the well. With each step, the donkey rose higher, and soon he was nearly at the top. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of shoveling, the donkey made one last step up and trotted happily out of the well, as if nothing had happened. The farmer and his neighbors stood in shock and amazement, watching the donkey walk away, as though it had simply been another day in the life of a donkey. Moral of the story is life is going to shovel dirt on you, all kinds of dirt. The trick to getting out of the well is to shake it off and take a step up. Each of our troubles is a stepping stone. We can get out of the deepest wells just by not stopping, never giving up. When life puts obstacles in your way, shake it off, take a step up, and keep moving forward.
एक बार एक जगह था, किसान को कुएं में गिर गया और कुआं अंदर मतलब उसको खत्म कर दिया, और जगह पे ढला हो चुका था। उसने सोचा इसको दबा देते हैं। तो कुआं में बंद करना तो ज्यादा यूजफुल है। तो उसने क्या किया, उसने तो उसके अंदर मिट्टी डालना शुरू कर दिया कुएं में। जैसे मिट्टी पड़ती थी तो उसको छिपना शुरू किया उसने, लेकिन उसके बाद उसको समझ में आ गया, जब मिट्टी गिरती थी तो उसको अपना झाड़ के और थोड़ा उसके ऊपर आ जाता था। तो जैसे जैसे मिट्टी का बढ़ती गई वो ऊपर आते गया, और जब पूरा मिट्टी भर गई तो ऊपर आके खड़ा हो गया। तो इसका मतलब जो प्रॉब्लम्स आएंगी, समस्या आएंगी, तो हमको वो उनके ऊपर चढ़ के आगे निकलना है। वो हमको ताकत देगी, उनके ऊपर चढ़ के आगे right.
Yeah. Mhm. It's like the donkey was wise and he knew like how to use that dirt. And the trick was that he was shaking it off. It wasn't allowing the dirt to stick to him. And that's why he was able to, move up. And so whatever problems that come our way, if we don't allow them to stick, if we just shake them off, we don't allow them to stick, then actually those problems are meant for us to move forward in life. But if we don't shake them off, and if we take them inside, then the weight of those problems will also, make our life miserable. And so, not to allow it to stick. That really means that, which really means that not to take it personally. If there is any situation and I have taken it personally, then it means I have gotten stuck to it. But if I haven't taken it personally, if I just see it as a scene in the drama that has happened, that is happening for a reason, for good, then I don't take it personally. And that's how the problems are actually stepping stones for us. Right. Right.
जैसे प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं तो उनके साथ हमको चिपकना नहीं है, उनसे जुड़े रहना रहते हैं कि प्रॉब्लम प्रॉब्लम प्रॉब्लम।
So it says, what do we have to reduce, right? How do we shake it off? And it says, reduce the weight of your thoughts. Reduce the weight of your thoughts. Sometimes we think too much, and those thoughts create extra burden. So just like, this person is, right, thinking all this, it's not the way it's supposed to be, I don't want it, it's not fair, I can't believe it, we were supposed to live together, things, whatever. So one thing is to be aware of the situation and to also act whatever needs to be acted upon. But one thing is to carry the weight of those thoughts. And so the problem is not something out there, but the problem actually is to think too much about that particular scene. So it says, let go of the way it's supposed to be. Resistance is a heavy burden to carry. Let go of the way it's supposed to be. Resistance is a heavy burden to carry. And so whenever I resist something, that's where I tend to create burdens. Right. So on an external level, I can still, do what needs to be done in a situation, but internally to be free and not to carry it internally. So let's watch another little story. Discuss.
Once upon a time, a young man was very unhappy with his life. He felt depressed and terrible all the time. He came to know about a Zen master in nearby town. One day, he decided to visit Zen master and ask for solution for his problems. Young man went to him and said, "Sir, I have so many problems in my life that I am always sad. Please tell me solution. How can I be happy?" Zen master listened to him carefully and then got up. Young man was confused to see him leaving without saying anything, but he waited for him. After some time, Zen master came back with a glass of water and a bowl full of salt. Master asked the man to take a handful of salt from that bowl and put it in the glass and then drink that water. Young man was confused but did as instructed by the master. Then Zen master asked, "How does it taste?" Young man replied, "It is terrible. All that I could taste was salt." Now Zen master asked that young man to take a handful of salt and come with him. They both went to a nearby lake. Then Zen master said, "Now put this salt in the lake." Young man swirled his handful of salt into the lake. After that, master asked him to drink water from the lake. Young man took some water and drank. Now Zen master asked, "How does it taste?" Young man replied, "Sir, it tastes good." Zen master questioned again, "Were you able to taste salt in this water?" Young man replied, "No, not at all." Master and young man sat near that lake. The master put his hand on the young man's shoulder and said, "My dear friend, the pain of life is like that pure salt. No more, no less. The amount of pain in life remains the same, but the amount we taste the pain depends on the container we put it into. So when you are in pain, the only thing you can do is enlarge your sense of things. Stop being a glass and become a lake." Now, here the glass of water and lake indicate our patience. And if we see in our lives, we will find that if you have little patience like a glass of water, then even small problems in your life will start feeling big to you. And if you have abundance of patience like lake, then even the biggest problems will not be able to disturb you too much. Of course, there are difficulties in the life of every person. In fact, there is no person in this world who does not have difficulties in his life. Difficulties are part of our life. If there is no sorrow in life, then there can be no feeling of happiness too. But when we start thinking too much about problems and starts worry too much about it, then we become like that glass of water, which will become bitter even with little salt in it. Therefore, whenever there are difficulties in your life, try to have patience like lake and try to deal with those difficulties. Only then you can live a happy and a peaceful life.
Story says, are we like a glass or a lake? A glass is like a limited consciousness. So when we are limited, then even a little amount of pain or a little amount of problem will actually taste so much bitter. But if we are a lake, means we see things from a larger perspective. So how do we see things from a larger perspective? It's like when we start seeing the self, not just from this limited perspective of who we see, physically, but from start seeing the self from an eternal perspective. That means it's a lake. So lake is flowing a lake. Everything will be just diluted just because the lake is so vast. Right? And so that's what Baba says, like the moment we remember God or we remember our home, what we're actually doing is enlarging our sense of the way we see things. So we're seeing things from an eternal and unlimited perspective. And that's why, from that perspective, any problem will not have any influence on the mind. Right? We will be aware of it, but it won't influence the mind. Right? So that's really like rising above the problems. So we'll talk about in psychology, there is a particular mindset that they talk about, and it's called the growth mindset. So there is one mindset which is a growth mindset, and the other mindset which is a fixed mindset. So when I'm in a fixed mindset, means I feel this is who this is who I am, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. And then I see every situation either as an opportunity to share what I have, or as a problem that will make me feel less about myself, versus a growth mindset. In a growth mindset, I see everything, whatever is happening, as a learning opportunity. So I keep on learning. So then whatever out there, in a fixed mindset seemed to be a problem is no longer a problem, but actually it's an opportunity to learn and grow. So there is a very interesting video about it that discusses this in detail, and how from childhood itself, if we realize that we have aimed to have a growth mindset, then actually we don't focus on the problems too much. We'll just watch that.
There are two types of mindset we can cultivate. One that embraces problems as opportunities to learn, and one that avoids them, often out of fear to fail. People that avoid conflicts can be described as having a fixed mindset. Those who see problems as interesting challenges have a growth mindset. Sometimes we like to switch from one to the other. People have a fixed mindset because they believe that basic qualities like intelligence or talents are fixed traits, and that these traits are responsible for success. They often like to document past achievements. With a growth mindset, people believe that new abilities can be developed through practice. This view creates the love for learning that most great leaders and artists have in common. For them, life becomes an exciting journey with endless opportunity to figure out new things and advance. To develop a growth mindset, Dr. Carol Dweck, the Stanford University professor who coined the term, advises leaders, teachers and parents to celebrate trying. Teachers should applaud students for any grade if they studied hard. Parents should encourage their children to develop any new skill they are interested in. Doing this will make them learn the skill of learning, which will also help them back in the classroom. To illustrate the difference in everyday life, let's observe two imaginary kids. Jay thinks you've either got it or you haven't. Anne knows that she can learn anything if she wants it enough. At physical exercise, Jay avoids challenges. When it's time to jump over the vaulting horse, he's afraid to look stupid and be laughed at. Anne embraces any challenge. It's exciting, it's fun. She knows that failing is part of learning, and if she tries hard, at the end, nobody will laugh at her. Jay avoids feedback. If the teacher tells him how to improve an assignment he has been working on, he takes it personally. Anne knows that to improve, she needs to listen to constructive criticism. She also understands that it's not her that is being assessed, but the results of her work on that one day. Jay always takes the easy road. For example, he likes escalators and hates to take the stairs. When he is practicing the guitar, he stops the moment he's getting stuck. Anne usually doesn't even take escalators. She jumps up the stairs, counts every step in her head, and enjoys feeling the blood rushing through her veins. She practices the drums every morning for 15 minutes. Not that she always enjoys it, but she knows that effort is part of a journey to a more fun life. Anne likes to see others succeed. It inspires her. She knows that if she motivates her friends to get better, she herself is likely to grow too. If his friends try new things and succeed, Jay feels threatened. He's afraid that their success will put pressure on him to do more with his life too. Modern companies look for employees with a growth mindset because they solve problems and persist despite obstacles. To spot the right ones, some ask during the interview whether the job applicant believes if managers are born or if management is a skill learned. Jay thinks that managers are born. Anne gets the job. Neuroscientists support the idea. They confirm that the brain grows like any other muscle in the body, with training. Studies show that adopted twins tend to have higher intelligence compared to their siblings who stayed with their biological parents. The difference appears to come from the higher educational levels of adoptive parents and shows that nurture is more important than nature. A simple switch in how a person views a situation can mean the world of difference. Not just the outcome of that situation, the outcome of that person's place in life. As the late poet Samuel Beckett once said, "Ever tried? Ever failed? No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better." What do you think about the concept? Is it overly simplistic? And if you buy the idea, do you believe it is possible to make a permanent switch from a fixed to a growth mindset? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below.
It's changing our attitude from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. It says learning the art of learning. Learning the art of learning. So it's not that I already know everything or whether I get it or I don't get it. But it's about I'm learning something every day. And I feel that, in this spiritual journey, it's very important to have a growth mindset because we will fail. It's a journey of failing. Spiritual life is not a journey of success. It's a journey of failing, really. If we see, we will, try to implement something, we will fail. But we have to enjoy failing. We learn from it, we experiment it, but then we may fail again. But that's fine too, right? As long as I'm open to learning and I enjoy this journey. So a fixed mindset will avoid challenges, but a growth mindset will actually look for those challenges or problems. And that's what I feel that, even in my experience, like it has helped me in my journey, realizing that it's not just about, completely being soul conscious or not. Of course, the reality is that 95%, 99% of the times we are not. That's the reality. And we accept it. But we are trying to learn something new about soul consciousness. We're trying to learn something new about the self. We're trying to learn something new about God, about life. That's why it's like a process of rediscovering the self. Of course, there will be days when, the state of mind will be good. There will also be days when it won't be good. But I have to accept it. I can't expect myself to always have good days. No, it won't happen. And that's why I shouldn't take it as a problem. Sometimes what happens is, suppose there is a sanskar that I want to change, and it's not changing for a long time. Then I'll feel, oh, it's a problem. I'm not able to do what Baba is saying, right? But rather than that, the more I realize that that sanskar is not my real personality. It's just something of the, Maya's world that I'm still carrying. Not to, associate myself with that sanskar is important. Like in the video it said, right? Like she got a bad grade, but it doesn't define who she is. Maybe in that one day, that 1 hour, she didn't perform well, that's fine. So even a sanskar that I may be working on, that doesn't define who I am. Right? Okay, I may get upset, I may get angry, I may get irritated, that's fine. But that doesn't define who I really am. Okay, in a situation, maybe I passed, I failed, that's fine. But not to associate my self-respect there. Because that's what we generally do. And that's where we start to think too much, we start to worry too much. And that's where, like, even when we listen to Murli, Baba would say many times, this is right, this is wrong. And Baba would put it into literal terms, right? Doing this is completely wrong, doing this is completely right. And sometimes we start to take it personally. Oh, I'm good or I'm bad, according to that. But here also, I feel the way to learn is realizing that, the good that Baba is explaining is actually about the soul. When the soul is completely aware of itself, that's the feeling that the soul will carry. And when the soul is not aware of the truth, then that's the qualities the soul will have. It doesn't mean I am good or I am bad. No. So removing that sense of self that we actually associate to, that's what I feel has, it does help a lot. Realizing it's a journey of learning something every day, growing with it. And again, coming back to the basics, whatever, we may be learning outside from, these days it's artificial intelligence and the whole world everyone knows. It's more about rediscovering the self and rediscovering my relationship with God. The more I keep it very simple, that's what spiritual journey is all about. And I feel it makes it very easy and simple. And that's where it says that problems are inside the story and solutions are outside the story. Story is this drama that we souls are playing our part in. And the more we are just focused on the drama, that's where we start to make any situation into a problem. And so problems are really, the moment I see myself thinking about the problem, I need to just remind myself, oh, maybe I've gone inside the story too much. Right? And the more I am soul conscious, I realize that, the solutions meaning like, the truth of who we are. From that perspective, there is no problem at all. Everything is fine, everything is fair, everything is perfect. We souls are perfect, this drama is perfect. our relationship with God is eternal, right? We're all eternally peaceful. We are blissful. That's what Baba is trying to remind us, right? So he's trying to take us outside from the story. And so the more we realize that that's what our truth is, the more we become solution-oriented, samadhan swarup. So wherever we focus on, that's the swarup we become. If we focus on the problem, we become samasya swarup. But if we focus on the eternal truth, we automatically become samadhan swarup. So it's like, just this thought was coming in. If there is any problem that I feel, for example, let's say there is a particular sanskar that I'm not able to change. Let's say anger, right? So is it not a problem that so many years I'm not able to change that sanskar? Is it not a problem? Is it a problem or no? Yes? Suppose after so many years, I'm still not able to conquer that sanskar. There are times when I get angry, I get frustrated, right? So then the inner commentary I give myself in those times, so, I'm not able to change my sanskar of anger. Now, looking at this from outside the story is, I realize that this statement is inherently not true. Why? When I say I'm not able to change my sanskar of anger, then I have to tell myself that that mine is not the real mine. That mine, जो मेरा संस्कार, वो मेरा नहीं है. That's what Baba tells me. In the light of truth, outside the story, मैं आत्मा हूँ, I am a soul, and that sanskar of anger is not my sanskar. It's actually Maya's or Ravan's sanskar. So when I take myself outside the story, then I can see that actually I've just made up the problem because of the convoluted thinking that this is my sanskar. So the moment I take myself outside the story, I realize, suppose I'm living with someone and they have a very strong nature. Isn't it a problem? Right? Now, the internal commentary I'm giving myself, this person is like this. This person is like this. Again, if I take myself outside the story, I'll realize that this statement is false. Right? For me to think this person is like this. Right? I realize they are souls, they are pure, they are peaceful, they are children of the divine. And okay, across many, many lifetimes, they have had so many experiences, and because of this, they have had certain sanskars, and those sanskars are Ravan's property. They're not the soul's property. So I realize this, and then there is no problem, right? Isn't it? So problems are really when I think from inside the story, something, then that's where I'm creating a problem. But the moment I expand my consciousness, I go outside the story, then there is no problem. Because then from that eternal perspective, I see everything, everyone perfect. Because that's how life is. That's how all of us are. And that's the vision that God holds when he comes to talk to us, right? When he comes, when Baba comes, that's the vision. And that's why we just look at Baba and then we completely feel that, the truth, that love. Another point here, it says, ask the right questions. So Einstein said, if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I would use the first 55 minutes determining the proper questions to ask. He is first trying to understand the problem properly. Sometimes we don't understand it properly. We try to solve the problem. But when I've understood it, and that's where, if I take time, step back and ask myself from a real perspective, the truth perspective, then once I've defined the problem completely, then I can actually solve it. It's just a shift in consciousness. Right. Solving a problem actually is a matter of shift of consciousness. And that's why Baba keeps on telling us about the drill of a second. So in a second, I shift my consciousness from inside the story to outside the story. Sure. There's some other couple of different quotes and I'll just share. It says, we have discussed it before also. It says, when I simplified myself, my problems simply flied away. So when I make myself complicated, that's where the problems come and stay in my mind. But when I simplify myself, I'm not this name, I'm not this form, I'm not what others think about me, right? I'm just a pure being of light. I live in my home of light, in the company of the divine. So when I simplify myself, then there is no problem. Do we have any problem in Paramdham? Any problem? Mhm. Do we have any problem when we, are in the presence of God? Any problem? No problem. Mhm. Right. Mhm.
So God is supreme teacher, इसलिए वो कहते हैं कि बच्चे खुद को आत्मा
Right.
सामने वाले को भी आत्मा देते हैं।
Yeah,
तो जब आप सेल्फ में दिखते हैं तो नो प्रॉब्लम,
no problem.
सामने वाले को भी आप उसके कॉन्शियस में देखते हैं सोल,
No
तो
problem.
नो प्रॉब्लम। पर हम अदर पर्सपेक्टिव में उसके बाह्य को देखते हैं
जी,
तो उसकी कमी कमजोरी
right.
वो हमें नजर आती हैं और प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट होती है।
Yeah, correct.
बट वी थिंक आई एम सोल नॉट ए बॉडी,
Yes,
एंड सामने वाला भी सोल नॉट ए
right.
बॉडी।
Yes.
So
Mhm.
very simply,
Yeah.
we stay in soul consciousness.
Mm. And so this one
So
says, right.
प्रॉब्लम इज ब्लैक, मतलब वो भाग जाएगी। क्योंकि अगर कोई भी बात अगर ऊपर से आती भी है तो लोग फिर जब हम अपने, क्योंकि वो ऊपर से जो आ रही है तो हम अपने कॉन्शियस में नहीं है, इसलिए हमको वो प्रॉब्लम दिखाई दे रही है। Am I right?
Right. Good.
तो प्रॉब्लम का शॉर्ट में अगर देखें तो एक ही सॉल्यूशन है कि मैं शरीर नहीं में आत्मा में, आई एम ए सोल नॉट ए बॉडी।
Right.
So no question, no problem, no concern is too big or too small or God to handle.
Right. So it says that another approach is, if any problem comes, we give it to God. We hand it over to God. Because no question, no problem, no concern is too big or too small for God to handle. Means we shouldn't think like, and we've all experienced this. Suppose, I'm going to work, I'm missing my keys to the car, right? And I'm worried about it. Okay, Baba, take care of it. And the moment we give it to God, we will find it. So it means it's not too small for God. Sometimes we say, oh, it's too small for me to ask God about this. But no, even small things, whatever may be, making ourselves heavy, we can actually give it to God. Right? And nothing is too big for God either. Sometimes if it's a big challenge, big problem, also we can give it to God. Right? Because God, that's why He is God, He can handle anything. And just end here. It says, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. That's a quote by Einstein. So the more we are role conscious, actually it's the consciousness that creates problems, right? So I cannot solve it from that consciousness. I have to take it beyond, outside the story. And that's where I can then experience the solution. Cha. Om Shanti. So let's just take a moment to realize the self is not just this physical identity, but this eternal spiritual reality of being a soul, being a point of light, being a spirit, loved by God, eternal actor who comes into this play and plays his role, and then goes away to his home of light. That's who all of us are. We all live eternally safe in the presence of the divine God. And so we just stay here in our eternal silence. And from here, everything seems to be perfect. Outside the story, there's no problem. And now, as I gently move back into the story, I just carry within myself this deep feeling of coming from the other dimension to play my part here. And so I'm here to learn, to enjoy, to grow, to be happy, and to spread happiness. Om Shanti. Thank you, Papa. Thank you, family. Thank you for your time. Anyone would like to share any thoughts? Please feel free to. Yeah, we have those communication.
As per the current this is the most relevant things which comes in everyone's life and conditions in the changing environment, changing circumstances in the world also. And it is there if we come through the problems, they cannot touch us. And when we see a thing from very close, it appears very big. And we see that from a distance, it becomes very small. Similarly, if our circle is very small, circle means closeness, close people, then the feelings are more, problems are more, because we are thinking for 1 or 2%. But when we are thinking for say hundreds of persons or 50s of persons, then the small problems will not be there. Because somebody or else will be there. When if I am depending only 2 persons, so there are only 2 persons are there. Whatever good or bad, I will depend on those two only. If I depend on 20 persons, so there are 20 persons to take out the solutions or and if there are say 200 persons, if there are 2,000 persons, so as the circle increases, my problems are less and less. Because we are not part of a very big problems. It is human psychology that we are part of very small things. One practical example, if my car is running at a speed of say more than 100 miles per hour, even a simple jerk can disturb everything.
Correct.
But when I am going slow, even a stone cannot.
Right.
So when we are thinking big and big, and also for problems that problems are rising steps. So the one thing that if a child is kept under so many safety, you cannot go out, you should not drink this water. If you go out, you will be taken up by the winter, cold, or heat, or like that. And another child, which is exposed to everything, exposed to the heat, cold, winters, all the problems. Afterwards, the child which were inside that protection, his development will be little less. And the child which is growing just outside the things, which is facing all the problems, problems of heat, cold, tiredness, and everything, he becomes strong. So problems, it is up to us whether we can climb on them or problems can climb on us.
Very nice. We climb on problems or problems climb on us. Right. Very nice. So
For the child, very good. And everybody to give at least 5 minutes or 10 minutes a thought about these things. His problems will be over.
Nice.
And also one thing, the problems comes if they are generated from particular environment or particular atmosphere. Unless we change that environment atmosphere, we cannot solve the problem.
Solves the problem. Right.
So very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
थैंक यू सर भाई। तो बहुत शॉर्ट में यही है जो बाबा कहते हैं कि बच्चे कारण नहीं, अभी निवारण स्वरूप बनो, समाधान स्वरूप बनो, समस्या स्वरूप नहीं। तो हम निवारण स्वरूप कब बनते हैं? जब अपने को आत्मा, आई एम ए सोल नॉट ए बॉडी। तो जितना जितना ये प्रैक्टिस हमारी उस सोल में टिकने की हो जाती है तो नो प्रॉब्लम। और अंदर से हमारा बिल्ड होता है, पोटेंशियल भी हमारी बिल्ड होती है। बहुत सारे जो अभी हम सुन रहे थे कि उसको वे मिलते हैं, क्योंकि सोल कॉन्शियस में है तो हमको बहुत सारी आगे बढ़ने की शक्ति भी आती है, क्योंकि परमात्मा से सोल है तो परमात्मा से कनेक्ट है, परमात्मा से कनेक्ट है तो वो अपने बच्चे को ऑटोमेटिकली रेज करते हैं। तो सारा जो निकला उसका सार मुझे 2 शब्दों में यही समझ में आया कि मैं आत्मा हूँ और मुझे आत्मा का पिता परमात्मा हूँ। तो अगर ये 2 शब्दों पर, 2 पॉइंट पर मेरा अटेंशन है, नो प्रॉब्लम, एवरीथिंग इज गुड। क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम आती ही है बाह्य भोक्ता के कारण या बॉडी कॉन्शियस के कारण। तो अगर मैं बॉडी में अगर प्रॉब्लम आ रही है तो मुझे चेक करना है कि मैं कहाँ टिकी हूँ। तो अगर तुरंत अटेंशन है कि नहीं नहीं ये तो बाहर की प्रॉब्लम है, अगर अंदर में मैं टिकी हूँ तो नो प्रॉब्लम है। सो थैंक यू सर भाई, थैंक यू।
Thank you. Good rest of the evening.
Thank you for allowing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you. Shanti.